Yes, sir. Let's start.
Okay, yeah.
All right, guys. So, hey, everybody, welcome to our second episode of our monthly webinar under Mana Forum. Um, for those of you who do not know me, my name is Nauman Hadi. I'm based out of Dallas, Texas, and I'm currently working with Dish Networks. I'm really excited and thrilled to be here today with you all, and I would be the moderator for today's discussion on artificial intelligence and its use in entrepreneurship and in corporate settings. I'm very excited today and honored to be talking to a dear friend and a mentor of mine, Fahad Khalid, who is currently working as an AI product manager with Meta, or as most of us know as Facebook. So I believe there's nobody better than Fahad at this time to be talking on this subject. Uh, just to level set, I would like to have this session divided into three phases. We'll start off with some introductions, and then we'll peel off some of the layers of AI, just scratch off a little bit of AI on the surface. Um, I don't think we can go into that technical depth in this session. However, if there's a need, we can have a following sessions on that. And then Fahad can talk about his advisory experience with an AI startup. And in the last 15 minutes, we can open it up for the questions. In the meantime, if you think you have any questions to add, please feel to type in the Zoom chat box that we have here. Either myself or Farouk would be monitoring that chat box. So, Fahad, would you like to give us a quick introduction about your background, your career progression, and how did you get into AI?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much, Numan, and for giving me an opportunity to be here on Saturday and discuss about my journey and a bit on AI, and we can leverage some of my experience to educate some of the folks here. And thank you very much for arranging these kind of series. I think it was well needed, and we have been waiting for having it. So, Farooq, thank you for the initiative. So, about my background, I will take you back into my young age. Now I don't call myself young anymore. I'm almost about to hit 40s in a few years. And I think so. I want to go back a little bit and tell you that how these things tie together where
Hmm.
I am today.
Hmm.
Not just saying I'm today because I am something amazing. No, it has a lot of building blocks attached to it. And I want to give a little bit brief overview on that. So I belong to a lower middle class family in Karachi, Pakistan. My both parents used to go and do jobs at a private companies at a very lower position, not any government or bureaucrat officers,
Hmm.
neither very highly educated professionals. They were just as a normal Pakistani, I will say, right? Most of us, like 80% of Pakistanis, are
Yeah,
lower middle
yeah.
class.
Uh-huh.
So, can you hear me? Just want to check before I go further into it. Uh,
I can. How about
awesome.
others?
Okay, awesome. Arsalan said so he can hear. Awesome,
Okay.
good. So let me continue. So yeah, and when I see them doing a hard work, it was like very emotional and see, okay, they go at 7 a.m. in the morning, come back at 7 p.m.
Uh-huh.
Only Sunday was off. So I grew up seeing them doing super hard work, to be honest, right?
Yeah.
And paycheck to paycheck, no bonuses, no 401k, no provident fund, no
Uh-huh.
RSUs, nothing at all, to be honest. And
Uh-huh.
that basically that kind of viewing that for many years make me also do the hard work. My father used to work in a garment factory and textile mill. You probably might have heard about Gul Ahmad or Farooq textile mills.
Yeah.
These are,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he was there, and I got very much attached to the machinery there. It used to be like a NASA spaceship for me. If I go visit a factory, I get fascinated by those automatic machine. That's where I started to get into tech and started to build a lot of mechanical models. And then in the end, I went to Asr Sayed University. But just to be clear, I was not a top student. My intermediate percentage was around 61%.
Mm-hmm.
Sayed GPA was around 2.67. So
Okay.
I
Okay.
was not a brilliant student again.
Well,
And I
that's
was
that's a hope for many then, right?
yeah, exactly. So I had a lot of time to socialize and learn other things rather than just focusing on the textbook. That's what
Okay.
my takeaway from there is now. And then I had an opportunity to come to the US, do my master's.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow I become, I would say I started with a dishwasher here, the first job in the US for 6 months at $6.25 per hour.
Where was that?
It was at UT Austin and UT San Antonio.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I had a one semester at UT Austin, then I moved to UT San Antonio because after first semester I got a grant and my professor moved the university from Austin to San Antonio, and I
Very
have to
nice.
follow
Okay.
him because my semester fees was $13,000 a semester, which I can't even afford it, right, at that
Right.
time.
Yeah.
So that all hard work actually pays off. And I think my master's GPA was 3.9. So that is an amazing shift from 61 to 2.67 to 3.9.
Absolutely.
And I
Absolutely.
think it's more of a system rather than, I think it's me. I did not change anything. It's more of a system where I can learn and implement rather than memorization. That's what I think overall.
So
And
if I were to ask you, what was your majors?
I did majors in computer engineering and electrical
Okay.
engineering both. So I picked some courses of wireless communication,
Okay.
optical fiber, and half of my courses on computer engineering.
Okay. Very
Yeah.
nice.
And that's what I graduated. And then, as usual, struggle for H-1B and green card and all those so forth. But when I graduated, one thing I learned, I worked for RF engineering at Ericsson with you guys for Nauman, you and many others here. And then one thing I came across a guy from Lahore. He said, "Hey, why you are wasting your time in RF engineering? The guy like you can speak a lot. You should work in a strategy consulting." I said, "I have no idea what you're talking about. What is strategy consulting?"
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I forgot his name. His name was Vakas. He was at Aircom at that time. And he said, "Hey, these are two firms you should apply." And I am, again, a guy with a lot of failures in the past, not scared to apply. I applied,
Mm.
got into Incode, which was a year before bought by Ericsson. And
Right.
that's where it
Yeah.
triggered me that how to basically go into different new areas where you don't have any
Hmm.
vision, you don't have any experience. That's what strategy consultants do. They just go
Yeah.
learn from market research, come back and give you a feasibility report at a very
Right.
high level. Okay, these are the things you can do, right?
Yeah.
But if
Uh-huh.
you ask them to go a little deeper, little deeper, they might not go. And
Yeah.
that's where I learned on strategy. That was amazing journey. And there I met a lot of folks who moved into Meta. And from there, one of them pulled me into Meta when Meta was trying to look into connectivity as one of their growth path. And
Hmm.
back in 2016 August, I joined them and my journey at Meta was also not very easy. I joined as a contractor in a deployment team
Mm.
to deploy 5G radios. From there, I went to TPM path, from TPM to product manager front end, then
Okay.
product management back end. And then from last 2 years, I've been in product management for AI exclusively.
Very nice. Very nice. This is a pretty good summary, Fahad. And I think most of us can relate to that story. And this is a hope for many that if we want to pivot, there's always an opportunity. You just have to be little strategic about it and how you can go about it. Uh, so on a lighter note, Fahad, I'm sure our audience here wants to know what really motivates you to continuously nudge us all towards learning, self-improvement, and getting out of our comfort zone. I mean, was it always to be on this podcast? Was that your strategy to be on this podcast that you were nudging us all, or is there broader aspect to that?
So I have this example which I
Yeah.
started to use few years ago that we all most I will say all of us typically have a car right at home, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And to maintain a car, you have to put a oil in it or change a oil in it.
Hmm.
I've often hear there air filter, tires, engine maintenance, and everything, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Or
Hmm.
otherwise, you go and buy a new car every 2 3 years, right? It's still, if you have a new car, you have to change that, right?
Yeah.
My my thinking is that my degree, which I took back in 2006 from Sir Syed, it's expired now. It's done. How long I gonna basically drag it? And the ROI on degree is already I made it. I invested what, like, if I really look at it, 4 years and X number of money in it, and if I
Mm.
don't also count my job, if I would not have done the degree, I might be working on some kind of a job here there.
Yeah.
If I include all of that, that what was the 4 year investment? If I do a degree versus a job, I have made that money already within last, like, after graduating of within graduating in 5 years or something like that from there, right? So
Yeah.
my vision is now, like, the way I treat myself is I'm a car, I need an oil change, I
Mm.
need a tire change, I need a paint, all that thing. And that matters in two ways. In health, unfortunately, I'm not following that for health. Second thing is your career progression as well,
Yeah.
right? If you think you graduated from NID back in 98 and you're gonna survive till 2030, that is a very, very hard thing to do, right? So that motivates me, that whenever I see young people are coming, which is amazing, they have innovative knowledge, we need to always go back to school. If we can't, find short courses. If you can't, read about the blogs. If you can't, just try your luck in a new field, basically. What happened? You're gonna fail and you're gonna rise
Absolutely.
again. You're gonna fail,
Absolutely.
you're gonna, and person like me who has a huge history of failures,
Yeah.
I don't really have anything. When I say if I fail, what's gonna happen? I will go back to my failure stage, which I have already lived so many years that I don't mind going into that stage. So
Uh,
that basically
yeah.
motivates me every day to keep doing something new, something new, something new.
That's a great perspective, and I think that's a growth mindset that all of us need to have. So thanks for that. So far, let's transition to
Yeah.
AI. That is the topic of interest today. So Fahad, let me start with this. Most of us interchangeably or loosely use the terms like AI, machine learning, or deep learning, right? Without really knowing what are these terminologies. So, how about you give me a quick introduction of what is AI, what is machine learning, and deep learning, just in 1 minute or so?
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
great question,
yeah,
Roman. And I think a lot of people ask this question and they interchange, especially people who are new. And at one point, I used to have the same question in my mind, right?
yeah,
In a layman language, AI itself is nothing. It's just a philosophy in my mind, right? It's
okay,
just an area. Like, for example, science. Science is
yeah,
a subject, right?
uh-huh,
History is a subject, right? Language, English, Urdu, French. This is just a language, right? So
yeah,
AI is that. Are you getting my point? Am I
yes,
able to give you an idea of what AI is? AI is a field itself. It's so within that there are subcategories, and
okay,
machine learning, deep learning are the categories within that field. So AI itself, but you will say, what is an AI? Okay.
hmm,
Now, when we talk about language, we know language is something through which we can communicate, right?
yeah,
What's
uh-huh,
AI? AI, you can say it's a computer language or it's a computer understanding to behave like a human. That's the vision of AI, or that's what AI
okay,
is also.
okay,
It can be a simple automation machine. You can call it like automated. If you do some automation and machine has some kind of a okay, let me give you an example. So if you put a sensor, photo sensor, you remember,
mm,
like in a daylight,
yeah,
photo sensor will auto shut, in the night it will come back, right?
right, right.
Kind of machine behaving like human, because humans are smart enough to know when to on a light, when to off a light. So that's
Hmm.
kind of, you can say it's a very basic form of AI.
Is so then is machine learning just a software code, or is
Yes,
it is it more than a software code?
okay. So maybe I took a lot of time explaining AI. Within AI, then the machine learning is a software. Yes, is a software which in a specialized way where you code to do certain tasks. And deep learning is an advanced form of machine learning. So it's kind of a big set. Within that, these are the small subset within it. And when I say deep learning, let me give you an example. So always this example to my kids, because they ask me, what is AI? They ask me, my sixth grader asked me, I say,
Yeah,
one day I was teaching her something in maths, actually, my grade two
yeah,
daughter, and she was telling me, hey, Baba, this is two, this is four, and they want me to tell what is the next number. And then
right.
what is the next number? I said, this is AI basically, right?
Uh-huh.
And why you know two, you know four. Now matching the pattern two and four, there's a delta between two, right? So the
Yeah.
next number should be six, the next number should be eight, the next number should be 10. So if you look at basic form of machine learning, that's a linear regression or logistic regression. Now, if
Hmm.
you want me, I can go a little deep in linear. If you remember, all of us have invested in real estate,
Yeah.
right? And we always go, in 2005, this plot price was this. In 2008, this plot. So it's an XY graph. You have
Yeah.
X coordinate and Y. If I do X1, Y1, X2, Y2, if it's a linear line, you can easily understand what will be X3 and Y3 by
Right.
taking the slope.
Uh-huh.
That's simple machine learning. Very simple.
So, so,
But
so, sorry to cut you off here, Fahad. So machine learning is basically a software code which is not completely programmed, but it learns by itself.
exactly.
Is it right to say that? That
There
it
are two
follows
ways
the
to do it.
pattern? Yeah.
Yes. So it learns with the pattern. That's the basic machine learning, basic form
Okay.
of, right?
Okay.
When I talk about linear regression, that's really basic. I'm not saying we should not use it, but that can be used in a very simple thing like real estate prediction model.
Okay. Okay.
But now, if I say, let's think about
Hmm.
that price is not the problem. We want to include Pakistan economics condition. We want to include COVID into it. We want
Yeah.
to include population. Now that model become crazy. It's not XY. There are so
Uh-huh.
many other parameters that a typical machine cannot. That's where the deep learning model comes into it. You provide
Okay.
multiple inputs. It's a black box. It decides based on different parameters what needs to be done, and it gives you an output in one or two formats.
Okay. So then it is a little more complicated than machine learning. Maybe is
Yeah.
that what neural networks are?
The neural network is a deep learning, basically.
Okay, okay. That
Yeah.
that's good to know because like we hear about deep learning and neural networks, but they are the
Both are
same thing.
same. Both are
All
same.
right. Very
Yeah.
good, very good. This is great, Fahad. Thank you so much for giving us a brief introduction on AI and some of its components. Um, Tell me about this, Fahad. Is machine learning the same as data science?
No, actually, that's where I always push back. And I push back very strongly because I have seen a lot of people talking about, oh, we did a degree in data science and now we are a machine learning expert. So fortunately, I mean, I have worked with data scientists.
Yeah.
I have seen the output from a research scientist who are AI experts. And not
Hmm.
kidding you, this is like a day and night difference between the two outputs and the thinking approach.
Okay.
And a data scientist or most of the software engineers, I will say, who are typically using libraries or SDK, which is software development kit, and APIs, they are making use of these different libraries to do certain tasks, right? And data scientists, what they do, they use data, they use some basic models or even
Hmm.
advanced model to get some insights out of it. That's data
Okay.
science. But data science is not machine learning. Data scientists are not AI experts, or I will say they are not AI inventors. You getting me? So
Uh-huh. Is
AI,
there an overlap there?
they are more like okay. So let me take a step back and explain you in this format that Ericsson builds this 5G, 4G technology, right?
Yeah.
And AT&T and Verizon implement it.
Uh-huh.
And they implement in a way that they put this 2G, 3G, 4G tower core network, and then they provide these services to end user like me and you, right?
Yeah.
So in my point of view, data scientists are enabler of that tech which was built by the AI scientist. So
Okay.
AI scientists build the tech, they build
Yeah.
neural net, they build deep learning model, right? And
Yeah.
then data scientists use those neural net and X thing to do something practical, right?
All right. All right. So
Yeah.
they
And
they
most
basically use it to come up with the business decisions, which can help grow the
exactly,
business,
mostly,
right? More like
mostly.
that.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That is good to know. Um. So moving on, Fahad. I mean, recently we've been hearing a lot of uh, press on generative AI, chat GPTs, and all that, right? I mean, let alone AI is not enough. AI was never enough, and now we have generative AI. AI. What is this generative AI?
So, generative AI. So, before we talk about generative AI, we should talk about natural language processing, right?
Okay.
Because generative AI is a form of NLP.
Okay.
And when we say NLP is a form of deep learning, so you're getting my point now, how we are
Okay.
getting into this AI, then machine learning, that deep learning. And deep learning has many models, many
Okay.
different models, right?
Okay.
And these models are, they're, like these models are meant to design to solve different problems,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And for example, a car is meant to take 4% from one place to another, right? A car with a four seats in it, right?
Yeah.
And then in a bus, it's meant to take a lot of people together into one, right?
Uh-huh.
And at a speed, then train and then plane. If you look at all these things, they have their own use cases and application,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
And in a similar way, AI has many different models, and there are different ways to use those models in
Mm-hmm.
different application and use cases.
Mm-hmm.
So NLP is natural language processing, and
Mm-hmm.
that is being developed to basically learn languages, human
Okay.
languages, right?
Human
And
languages. Okay.
yeah, human languages like English, Urdu, many other things, and interpretate. These are so advanced model that they are not just predicting that what the next X3 or Y3 point will be. They are advanced than that. Because imagine, right, predicting X1, X2, X3 is easy, but predicting what you're gonna think next is very complex because it requires different inputs, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what NLP does. So generative AI is one form of NLP which uses basically a transformer model.
Okay.
And transformer is a really advanced, for example, GPT stands for generative pre-trained transformer.
Mm-hmm.
And transformer is an advanced form of NLP. Now you see AI, deep learning,
Yeah.
NLP, transformer. How we are going deep
Okay.
into it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's how. So transformers are advanced form of deep learning models, which kind of, if I'm not mistaken, they can predict the behavior before you do something. What I should say, so if you're planning to do something next based on some historical
Uh,
or based on some their own judgment, they can predict the next move. So they're that advanced.
let's take a pause here, Fahad. So Gmail, right? Whenever we're trying to draft an email, it will give us we just try to write thank you, and it will just generate a whole sentence for us. Is that some kind of generative AI?
Yeah, that you can say that's a basic form of generative AI. Yes, absolutely right.
Okay, so then generative AI has been around us for a few years then, right?
Exactly. But
What
now
what is
people
the
are
what is the hype about then?
so now I think the hype is, if you really look at it, what I see that OpenAI brought really an interesting way of it, giving you a way and opportunity to interact with AI. AI has been there, but a lot of people hadn't noticed it, right?
Okay, okay,
Very a lot of people. If you look at Gmail, that's exactly what NLP is doing. They're just predicting what you're gonna write next, right?
right,
If you
right.
noticed, I don't know, have you noticed or not? It's so close. It's super close. I'm not kidding you,
Mm-hmm.
right? It seems like I was about to think that, and it already provided me what I'm about to write, right?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. It happens
And
all the times.
that is one
Yeah,
form. But
yeah.
now it's getting smarter. If you really look at it, that is a very basic format. It's predicting what you're going to write. But if you look at ChatGPT or generative AI, they are going one level beyond that, just predicting what you're going to write, to also creative writing or creative skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at ChatGPT 3, and then Lambda model from this Google and Bird as well, all are doing
Yes.
the same thing. They're the advanced form of NLP, but they're tuned on certain parameters. For example, OpenAI use, I believe, 1.6 billion parameters to tune it. And I
Okay.
think Google is claiming that they have around 5 billion or 5 plus billion uh, kind of parameters to tune it. And what does it take? Okay. As you remember, we were talking about this 2, 4, 6. Remember the
Mm-hmm,
example?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So you
Yeah.
can take those as a parameters basically.
The inputs, the data
Input,
inputs.
exactly. The
Okay.
more input you give, the more smarter the model will become. That's how machine learning works. You keep giving it, it gets more smarter. It gets more smarter. Now, at one point, maybe you give everything, then I don't know what's gonna happen, right? That's the
Yeah,
question. No one has an answer to it.
that is right. So talking about that, taking it one step further, I mean, I would have assumed that Google has the most data of any company on the world, on the planet. What happened to their GPT version? Why did that tank?
So, first of all, I don't know whether they are the only one who has that kind of a data set. By the way, there are Chinese companies
Okay.
very small. So I will say I will not be surprised if Tencent or Baidu or other companies come and say they have more data than Google. By the way, I mean, I'm just saying
Okay.
that.
Okay.
So because I don't have any data point to prove it, I totally understand this is your point of view, right?
That
So
is
I,
my perspective. Yeah, that's
yeah,
what I
that's your
think. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it can be subjective, right? That you
Yeah.
think, because it's subjective, you think that they have because everyone use Google in the world, right?
Uh-huh.
So the reason I think, that's my take on it, that Google have been working on it for a long time as well.
Yeah.
But the barrier to entry becomes challenging when you are a size of company with 150,000 employees. That's
Mm,
my take on it.
mm-hmm.
That's my subjective take on it, by the way. Again, I don't have any data to back it up,
Yeah.
and I don't have any proxy to back it up. But I think overall what happened was they have been building it because Google is a pioneer. They have that deep mind team. If you remember, uh,
Uh-huh.
those, those people have basically started so many different AI companies,
Yeah.
and they were pioneer. And I think the problem what happened is it's kind of a bureaucracy culture of 150,000 employees, and
Mm,
they are busy in their own work. And some of these initiative, and
okay.
OpenAI is a very small company, right? By the way, they were not like huge like Google, and they just said, okay, this is the only thing we work on. You getting my
Mm-hmm.
point? They
Yeah.
only work on
Yeah.
Chat GPT, and they said launch it. Versus Google work on almost 500, 600, or X number of thousands of kind of tools and products and everything. And that's exactly what happened when you are a startup versus a corporation.
Okay. That's good to know. You talked about OpenAI, Fahad.
Yeah.
A lot of us, including me, I had not heard about them. So, can you tell us a little bit more about OpenAI, who they are, what do they do?
So OpenAI was funded by Google, Microsoft, Elon Musk, and many others, by the way.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah,
Okay.
and
Okay.
it was a non-profit organization as per my knowledge in the past, and they were supposed to build tools where they can basically democratize the AI technology into different companies rather than having one or two companies holding the AI future. They
Uh-huh.
wanted to basically build things and open source it, right?
Okay.
And they got funded by all these. Microsoft, I think, funded them. Google also put a lot of money into it. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Elon Musk was one of the initial founders of this OpenAI. And their mission was to build cutting edge AI open source technologies.
All right, all right. So, and this Chat GPT thing, it came out of OpenAI, right?
Yes, OpenAI. Yes.
And that's where they're getting a lot of press these days. So I'm not sure if you saw the news. It was yesterday or this week, last week. OpenAI AI is now offering paid access to businesses to
Yes.
use ChatGPT, right? Um, so how do you think companies like Shopify, Snap, or Instacart? I mean, they are very interested in using that ChatGPT. Do you think is there a potential for them to uh, to create more value for the customers using
So
ChatGPT?
yeah, so I think one amazing thing happened when I think OpenAI was, it's not very old. It's not like, 30 years, 40 years old organization.
Yeah,
It's nearly, I think, 7 years old. It was founded
pretty
sometime
young, pretty young.
pretty young,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly. So
yeah.
what they've done is amazing. And again, just wanna, when you ask the Google question, I wanna conclude that it's actually focus.
Hmm.
They were focusing on one thing, and I think many other companies are focusing on thousands of things, and
Right.
that's the problem, right?
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
now coming to OpenAI monetization strategy, I
Mm.
think that's a wonderful strategy because that's a it's a kind of a non-profit firm working on basically on a funding given by many other
Yeah.
big companies. And I think ChatGPT is an advanced language model. It can really, in my opinion, Shopify doing something similar will take them years to do it, by the way.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because if you look at Shopify, Shopify is still way behind in AI in terms of e-commerce because Shopify focus on e-commerce stores most of
Yeah.
the time,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
And I haven't seen, one of the users of Shopify, by the way.
Oh,
So
you are? Okay.
yeah, so I have two websites running on Shopify, and I always say, hey, it's a very good platform. It's a very basic one. So they do solve layman terms. For example, tomorrow you decide to sell something, you can just open a Shopify store, pay them, I think, $20 or $80 from their different tiers, and you
Hmm.
can just need to upload an inventory, and that's
Yeah.
it. Boom, you are online. But
Right.
then, if you want to compete using your inventory with Amazon, you can't because Amazon apply a huge amount of AI in the background, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's where Shopify lacks, in my point of view. They can't scale that AI tools to that larger numbers of e-commerce stores, right? And
Hmm.
having ChatGPT integrated into it really allow them uh, to benefit their customers a lot. And that can be a chatbot, right?
Hmm.
That can be through generative AI. For example, one of the startup I'm working, they are trying to use ChatGPT to solve this content writing problem for the products. So if you are
Mm.
you're selling a white label product, if
Yeah.
you look at it, I'm not a native English speaker. Probably by then, if you have any tool, I have made so many English grammatical mistake. Has, had, hi, ever, there,
Uh-huh.
to
Yeah.
be very
Uh-huh.
frank. So I
Yeah.
think a lot of people who have no exposure to English, they can't write, they can't speak very good. ChatGPT is basically a great tool for them. Just write in one line, hey, can you create a tagline for me? Can you create a product description selling a white shalwar kameez, in Pakistan or
Yeah.
India or
Yeah.
somewhere? And it will create a product description. Boom. You don't need to hire a content writer anymore.
That's a pretty good point. So would it create novel uh, ideas or writing all the time, or would it be similar? Like if I and you are selling same product, and I asked ChatGPT to write me a few sentences on that, would it create new content every time, or does it use the same content and we can run into an issue of plagiarism at that time?
So there is none, by the way. They told that as long you're claiming that it's generated through AI, there is no plagiarism here.
Oh, is it?
Yes,
Okay.
if you look at, because I'm the startup I'm supporting, they
Mm.
are integrating ChatGPT API into their platform.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I was looking at one of the legal documents that they said, as long you claim it, that is generated through this, that's your property. That's your intellectual property, by the way.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Very nice.
So even one thing, just to be clear, we are talking about ChatGPT again and again. There are many tools, man. Stable diffusion, and then you have mid journey, then you have DALI 2. A lot of people I don't know, use that or not, but I use
I
it.
don't know. I don't know about them.
So
What are you
DALI
talking
2,
about?
yeah.
Okay.
So DALI 2 is free, by the way. Stable
Okay.
mid journey is free. They give you some credit, and DALI 2 and mid journey creates images.
Okay.
So now, as one of the like we were trying to So when you create a website, you want to put some pictures on it if you want to, if it's
Mm-hmm.
just to attract the audience, to engage it. And one problem a lot of website owners, what I should say, got trapped into, they need to either rely on free images from Shutterstock, right?
Okay.
And Shutterstock, it's a free image websites,
Yeah.
or you have to pay them, to
Yeah.
get them in. But then many people doesn't have the money to do it. If you're a startup bootstrapping yourself, you don't want to spend $100. I mean, in emerging markets. So what do?
Yeah.
You go to Dali 2 and say, hey, can you create an image of a lady wearing white salwar kameez with a Pakistani look and red eyes? And that's it. You give a prompt, it will create it.
So we don't need any models then.
Yeah, you don't need. Yes, exactly. And it was
All
such
right.
a
All
shock
right.
for me. It was such a shock because being a Muslim, I
Yeah.
was thinking, hey, man, they're creating another image, which I don't know whether that person even exists or not.
Wow.
So it's
Wow.
not
Okay.
existing. In my
Okay.
knowledge, that person never exists anywhere. They
So they
create.
just create an new human and an
Exactly.
an avatar of your imagination wearing your whatever, right?
Yes, that's what they did. So
Okay.
now the one problem I encounter in the tools, see, all these tools are learning, right?
Yeah.
And imagine, also just remember, whenever we use ChatGPT or any of these tools, we are feeding them with the knowledge.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So they use your knowledge to train further and further and further and further.
Okay. Okay.
It's very smart. It's a basically a learning exercise. So I use Delhi 2 a lot and Midjourney both to create images which can be basically
Mm.
put on the websites. The challenge, I feel like there were some images in which you do see that nose moving from left to right or
Yeah.
eyes. So that's the problem I think most of these models have right now. Or maybe someone needs to learn how to prompt it correctly to get the right image.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Um, let's see. So moving on to our conversation, just take a little ahead, Fahad. Why do you think AI is still concentrated in big tech companies?
I think, in my personal opinion, in order to, there are two ways to do AI, and I think I started there, but I
Yeah.
lost track of it. Is machine learning? There are two ways to do it. One is supervised, other one is unsupervised.
Mm-hmm.
And supervised learning is just like what I was explaining to you. My daughter brain 2, 4, 6, 8,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I was so that's a learning supervised way.
Mm-hmm.
The other way is where you don't tell machine, I don't have any data, but there is a raw data available. Can you just figure it out on your own what needs to be done here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a unsupervised way, by the way,
Okay.
right? And to do unsupervised learning, which is the most advanced form of reinforcement learning, is one of them, by the way, is the most advanced machine learning models we are thinking in the world to launch it, requires a lot of GPU capacity.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
And so if you look at it, a small startup cannot really own. You can own a server at AWS and GCP and
Mm-hmm.
Azure, but these server doesn't come free, man. They are very costly, very costly.
Like what are we talking about? What
I'm
kind of
talking
money
about
we're talking
thousands of dollars just to do a basic thing. You have to pay per month in order to do some basic AI.
about? All right. Okay.
And in an emerging market, if you're a startup, or even a startup in the US, you can't afford to tune the model at that. I'm talking about thousands of dollars means very basic. But if you want to tune your own model, right? For example, I'm trying to do one thing which I just want to do for my own techiness, that I think identifying dental cavity or predictive dental issues. If
Mm-hmm.
just looking at so let me tell you what I'm thinking. So my brother-in-law is a dentist in New York City. So I told him, hey, can you just take some random X-rays from somewhere, or I can bring it to you, and can you but just mark them,
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, it's a cavity, it's a root canal, it's a crown, and
Yeah.
just give it to me, and I can learn I can train it using any model. And then the
Okay.
next output will be, I just fed an X-ray to that model, like in a way, and that
Mm.
model will start predicting, hey,
So
this is a
now we're talking about that neural network that we talked about.
exactly.
Okay.
But still, this
Okay.
neural network first need to be trained.
Right.
Right? So that
Okay.
neural network training requires GPU, and that GPU cost is high, and normal people or normal startups can't afford. And that's why it's all started with these kind of big companies who have their own data centers, and
Mm.
they allow billions of dollar investment just for machine learning, model learning.
Ah, I see. I see.
That's why
So
PyTorch came from Meta, TensorFlow came from
yeah.
Google, right? And even if you talk to people at Waymo, they said that the cost is so high that they're trying to find ways to cut the cost of GPU.
All right. That is very interesting.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, what would it take to democratize AI? Let's say a local pizza store in Dallas. How can he take advantage of AI?
So see, these are two different things now.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Taking an advantage of AI, he or she can use it by using any library which is pre-tuned.
Mm-hmm.
Like now, the startup I'm supporting, they're coming up with virtual try-on technology.
Mm-hmm.
Virtual try-on means that you two things they write the code on. One is basically you take a picture and the startup can tell you what is the size of your shirt,
Right. Okay.
right? And the other technology they're using, you using an AR filters. You said I want to try white shirt, black shirt, blue shirt, yellow shirt, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that startup did not basically train any model. They use pre-trained model to solve this problem.
And where did they get that model from?
Open source libraries are by Meta, Google, Microsoft,
And that's
OpenAI,
all available for free.
all available,
These are
all
Python.
available.
These are Python codes we're talking about.
Yes, either
Okay.
PyTorch or TensorFlow. It depends on you which
Okay.
one. Yeah, and
All right.
and Google try to use it a lot now because even AWS, what they are doing when they're selling you this server, these capacity, they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to put these goodies into it. That for e-commerce, okay, let's build some tools. Like Ericsson used to sell base station, but then they will sell you some services on the top of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exactly what AWS and GCP models are. They say, okay, take hardware, like
Mm-hmm.
hardware is the capacity, plus on the top, we will give you TensorFlow model, which are exclusive towards telco.
Ah, I see.
Pre-tuned. And now what Deutsche Telekom, AT&T doesn't need to tune a model. They will take a model, fed with data, and boom, you get the results.
I see. I see.
That's what startups can do.
All right. So talking about startups and these big companies, uh, what steps or structural changes does a company need to adopt to be called a true AI company? I mean, just by implementing a couple of ML or deep learning projects, does it make a company an AI company? I mean, for example, let's talk about what AT&T. Is it an AI company? Can it turn into an AI company?
So my my interpretation for this question is very different. Actually,
Mhm.
recently someone shared a meme in which they were using this Scooby Dooby cartoon in which Scooby Dooby was always
Yeah.
suspense, right?
Uh-huh.
So a
Uh-huh.
person comes and if somebody has mask on it and say AI company, and he open it up and basically on the back of the
Yeah.
face calling API from ChatGPT, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
he was saying, okay, that's most of the companies are today. I put companies into four categories, by the way. One, who are doing some foundational research, like for example, in my point of view, that foundational research is going to Mars or
Mm.
coming up with the fourth element, like air is a big, like air, water, oxygen, some
Yeah.
kind of an element, some kind of a noble breakthrough which no one has done it in the world, right?
Okay. Okay.
That's are those companies are very limited,
Mm.
and they are typically research institutes, and they don't focus on the practical. And then there are companies which are called high tech, like Google,
Yeah.
Meta, Microsoft.
Uh-huh.
What they are doing, they're taking that research and apply and converting them into an applied research, right?
Okay.
So if
Okay.
you look at it, Google owns TensorFlow, Meta owns PyTorch. Owns mean they support that, right?
Mhm.
And those are AI companies who are taking fundamental NLP technology which someone else invented back in the days and using it to do some practical things. And then there are third category. Third categories are integrator. Now, what are integrators? For example, there is a dental company, again, I'm saying Overjet, they're looking for dentistry. I
Mhm.
call them an integrator, not an AI inventor. Why? Because they are taking a technology already built by someone else and
Yeah.
training a model and implementing it. So, and then the fourth companies are those who are just using basic AI here, there for automation of tasks. So
Mm.
again, I don't call them all of them an AI company, but you can call them an AI because they're making use of AI. Now, AT&T, the question you asked me, AT&T itself is not an AI company, but they can embrace
Mm.
AI to do a lot of things to automate, for example, customer churn prediction, right? Network
Mhm.
quality prediction.
Mhm.
Why they have an RF engineer still, to be honest, don't get me wrong, they
Yeah.
should just automate design end to end through continuous learning. Why
W-
someone
Uh,
needs to run it all anymore? No, you should just automate it. They should,
they've been trying to do that. I mean,
yeah.
why have they been not successful thus far?
So I think the problem is the mindset, right? The taking the
Mhm.
risk and how much investment you do and what kind of model. And maybe that when I say the mindset means maybe PyTorch is not working for them. Maybe TensorFlow is not working for them. So
Mhm.
if that not working, should they invent something else? Yes, go for it.
Mm. Okay, so basically, it's a mindset. It will require a lot of investment and maybe a very structured data uh, source.
They have data structures. I think the amount of data AT&T have it for last
Yeah,
50, no one will have it, man. They have so much data, right?
yeah.
Like everything goes through them, like AT&T, Verizon. I believe it's a more of a mindset and move fast problem,
Maybe leadership problem.
leadership problem. I had an interview recently at a Google Cloud, and one of the person who interviewing me was a vice president for many years at Google.
Okay.
Sorry, at AT&T, and he asked me how AT&T can basically improve, and I said the mindset is basically you have to have that technology driven mindset and move fast.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how I think you can do it.
Very good. Farooq, how are we doing on time?
I think we are 10:46, so we have 14 minutes left.
I think
And
this
you
is a good
guys can
conversation.
be, I mean, it's a very healthy conversation and people are enjoying it. So why don't you guys continue up until 2 p.m. And everyone, why don't you guys ask questions? If you have any questions, please put them in the chat box. Thank you.
All right. So, Sfad, I'm sure you've heard about Kathy Wood, have you?
Yeah, I
A
have.
very,
I've,
very,
yeah,
very infamous investor with her
yeah,
ARK fund not doing very well this year.
yeah.
So she has been an advocate of AI, and like she, every time you go her see her go on CNBC, she's talking about self-driving cars, how AI is going to transform genomic industries, this and that. I mean, she could be a visionary or delusional. I don't know. What is your what is your take on her?
Again, it might be subjective. I haven't read about her a lot, like in terms of her expertise, right?
Yeah.
I know her. She has been predicting Bitcoin at one point, then Tesla at one point was her biggest bet, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Mm,
And a few other companies. I remember when I was investing in stocks, I used to come across some articles about her predictions, right?
yeah.
I really don't know, her background on AI or what she was in the past or she has been
Yeah.
doing. So I cannot really tell about that she's a visionary or not. So I can't
Hmm.
talk about it. It will be very subjective if I comment. And I have limited knowledge, so I don't want to comment. But overall, if you really ask me my opinion on AI, I think AI is a next software engineering now,
Hmm.
right? Next means even not even next, it's already happened. People did not realize that like software engineering. So AI is a modern day software engineering. That's how
Yeah.
I treat it. Yeah, right. I always say, my kids say, "Oh, what is AI? It's a software engineering, but it's a modern day software engineering." And
Ah.
why you
Okay.
wanna do a donkey job writing a code when AI can do a coding for you? You should focus your time on something which AI can't do it.
Oh no, this is a very interesting point and could be scary for a lot of people out there, Fad. I mean, you're basically telling me that AI will enhance your productivity, right?
Yeah.
That is the whole potential. But at the same time, at what cost? Should we be scared of losing our jobs? Could it reduce the employment opportunities out there?
So that's aligned back to the top question, which maybe some of these
Mm,
folks might have missed, is the growth mindset.
yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Always ride with the new wave. Why you want to basically scared of a new wave? So AI might, I don't know, might. So there is always, remember, an idea of demand and supply.
Hmm. Hmm.
So there was a demand, you supply AI, and AI might create a vacuum of what I will say. Let's suppose AI will take your job. Let's
Yeah.
suppose, right?
Yeah.
But I can bet you right now, again, I don't have a data, that's my intuition. Based on my intuition, there will some other problems will create which will require human to fix it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are looking from one angle, oh, AI will come and take my job. Yeah, it will take, but it might create some problems. And those problems no one knows, right? And when no one knows those problems, then that's where human will go and fix it.
Right.
But
I
if
mean,
you are going to do the same button job that I gotta come to office, sorry to say, a lot of people gonna press this button again. Oh, what is the RSCP or SRP? Every day come, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. That's not for you, right? Because those jobs will be taken over sooner or later, in my point of view.
man, you're really after RF engineers. What's up with that?
I'm just saying, and they need to invent and see what they can do next, because it's getting automated. Then what should we do?
Right. Very nice. So there are three companies I can really think of right now. One is C3.ai. I don't know what they do. They just have a very fancy name, and that is something that really attracted me towards them. Then we have Nvidia. Then we have Tesla. I think these are one of the top three AI companies that I can think of, right? And a couple of them are software companies. Nvidia is a hardware company. Do you think which one is the best AI play right now? Is that going to be hardware or a software enterprise?
So you said C3 AI, Nvidia, and what else? The third one?
Tesla. I think Tesla with self-driving car is one of the pretty good application of large-scale AI around us.
Yeah, sorry. I think you're comparing apples to oranges.
Oh, am I? Okay.
Yeah. So C3 AI is a software applications. They basically, it's an enterprise kind of a platform which enables enterprise to deploy different AI tech faster. So they, you can say, kind of trying to compete with GCP, and maybe if not, so they might have to play a role in people who are using GCP, AWS, or Azure, right? Okay. Now, in terms of NVIDIA is a pure hardware play, is till now, right?
Yeah.
NVIDIA creates, like, most of the GPUs, and Google is creating, I believe, their own. I forgot the name, T5 or G5 or something. They're building their own. But NVIDIA, in my point of view, C3 AI, by the way, I'm one of the stockholders of C3 AI. It did really horrible.
You must be very happy, right?
Earlier it was very horrible, but they are now coming back, I will say.
Finally.
So I bought them 2 years ago, by the way.
I'm sorry.
So now you got my pain, right? So they are a software company which is enable enterprise to deploy AI faster, right? And if you look at NVIDIA so far has been, they're building a lot of software product, but their major AI share is coming from NVIDIA GPUs.
Right. And that's what you mentioned earlier, right? The GPUs are the real things.
So, and I'm not predicting, don't get me wrong. If you really want, if you really ask me, I think that's the company I want to bet on is NVIDIA, because their GPU is going to scale and scale and scale. Why? Because everyone is moving to AI. And if they don't do it, they're going to lose the business, because efficiency, what AI is creating, will be so significant that normal companies cannot match it, right? With the modern day companies, and to create that efficiency, you need GPU, and GPU will always be NVIDIA or maybe some other, but NVIDIA is the king right now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, right? But now when you look at Tesla is not a hardware company. Hardware company means not a GPU manufacturing company, just to be clear, right? Neither they are providing software like C3 AI to AT&T or Verizon or Ericsson to enable it. Tesla is an energy company. And if you really look at it, they are investing heavy on AI, like FSD, which is full self-driving car. I have that feature in my Tesla, and I can bet you right now it's not working at all, man. It's not working.
It's not working for you? Okay.
It's not working for me, and it's been so scary that I stopped using it at all. I stopped it. And if you ask me, I want to go back and say, can you please give me my $10,000 back, because it's not worth it using.
Did you tweet it to Elon Musk?
No, I did not. I don't have the time, neither the stamina to do that. But what I'm saying, that I think Tesla is moving fast on this self-driving phase, where they are, in terms of technology, they probably might have the most data for the self-driving space, but the technology is not working.
But still, they're far ahead of any other company.
You can say that. That's also very subjective, because Waymo, Cruise, Nuro, Zoox, Too Simple, Embark, I name it, man. I know all of them almost, right? They haven't given the technology to consumer yet. Okay. So when you haven't seen, we can't. Tesla is enabled, they are moving, it's their mantra is move fast, collect the data, and then experience. But I think that software, especially in the city, is not working. So just to give you an example, when you drive FSD on the highway, it allows you to take an exit automatically, by the way.
Yeah.
When you do it, the speed of that was around 50 miles per hour an exit speed. Now you're gonna scream that I'm gonna hit the next car if there is a stop sign, right? However, you never hit it because they apply brake very fast. Then the other way, when they enable city in December, they enabled FSD for all city users. Now, what it does, the Tesla stopped on green light. If you stop on a green light, someone coming from the back gonna hit you. So what it does, it comes and maybe at 5 miles it will go and then it will pick up very fast. So those are some fundamental problems, and I think on a light run and left turn. So Tesla, coming back to your question, C3 AI is a software-enabled application or a platform. NVIDIA is a GPU play, and Tesla is not in this AI race at all. They are building FSD. Their next big gig is basically building energy conservation for entire countries, entire city. By the way, I don't know you know this or not. They are building entire data center like energy conservation units. So California will buy one of them, and then for 30 days, all solar energy will be saved, and basically you're getting energy from that. These are energy banks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So that's their biggest bet.
That is good information.
Yeah.
In fact, great information, Fahad. I'd like to take a little pivot here, Fahad.
Questions?
And before we go into question, I need to ask you a couple more things here.
Yeah, sure.
We can go real quick. I'm sure of all the people here, you would have heard about TikTok, right? Or you might be using TikTok too.
Yes.
Tell me, why should we be scared of TikTok? What are they doing differently than any other big players out there, like Facebook Reels, Snapchats? I mean, why is their AI so much better than the US companies?
So, sorry to be very clear, I cannot talk on behalf of Meta, given
That's
that
right.
I'm Meta.
Pretty generic. I want you to keep pretty generic. Yeah.
But one thing I personally noticed is TikTok secret sauce is not just, first of all, they started with GPU, not with CPU.
Okay.
So it's a next generation company, so they have an edge. So let's suppose if we go back to emerging market and someone will say, hey, wow, what are shopping malls? I used to live in Indonesia and I used to live in Dallas. When I go to a Dallas mall, I said, okay, yeah, that's cool. That compared to Pakistan, Dallas mall at that time was better. When I went to Indonesia, Jakarta, I said, wow, man, these malls are amazing. I haven't seen it. So now imagine a person living in the US going to Jakarta and saying, wow, these malls, because those are emerging market and they are getting new technology much faster because they were slow in adopting the previous technology, right? Like mobile first. If you look at mobile penetration in Pakistan, everybody used mobile, no one used laptop, right? So what I'm trying to say here is TikTok, when they came, most of their models were GPUs, not CPUs. And most of the data centers in the US companies were based on CPUs in past 10 years.
Okay.
So now to train a model, GPU is much faster and CPU is CPU is slower and GPU is faster. Now, many of these companies are in transition of taking out the CPU and putting them into GPUs, which takes time, basically. Replacing huge data centers, it takes time. That's why one. Second is TikTok secret sauce is not just AI. They have also secret sauce of they put human in the loop as well. What does it mean? Some of the topics which TikTok started, you see on trending, these are injected by humans, not by AI.
Can you go a little deep on that?
So, for example, many of the companies, because they rely too much on AI, they started to follow policies that we can't show this content or that content because of XYZ reason. And sometimes these classifiers can be tricky. You classify something and because of that, it might not have shown something else. I don't want to talk about deep into classifiers, but classifiers are those things which you classify in a model that either show or these are keywords, basically, right? And what TikTok does, they have a huge army of people, that's what I came to know, which sometimes inject intentional content and they keep trying whether this content will pick up or not. So they create that kind of what I will say urgency or trending kind of a pattern, and by trying different content types.
So it's not completely AI.
it's AI, but what they found that their AI was faster and they were tuning the models much faster. That's the reason they were app was more responsive, right? Within 5 minutes, you start to see things. But I think on the top of that, they also was smarter enough to see how they can basically exploit human, right? And they said, okay, AI is not picking up. Let's us inject the content which can be viral. Actually, viral was the word I was looking for.
Very nice. Okay, good, good,
Yeah.
good.
So it's a secret sauce, I will say. But it's a company to watch, definitely.
Very nice. So I think we're almost on top of the hour, Fahad. How about we open it up to the audience here and see what
Yeah.
questions do they have? All right. Anybody who would like to speak here? Anybody who's any question?
Yeah, Yasser, why don't you go ahead? I see you have an answer, a question here, but it's kind of a long one. Would you like to speak up, please?
Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yes. Fahad, thanks a lot for sharing your insights. It's really, really interesting, all the information shared. I posted my question in the chat. Essentially, I'm running a small data analytics company around Elasticsearch, Kafka, Cassandra, these kind of things. I partner with these companies and then we offer services to clients. The next question I always get is how to transition from data analytics to a complete AI. Like they want more from it. I like what you said about pre-tuned models. That's something we started using, but I just want to hear your experience. That's been our biggest challenge for our clients. How to transition. They want more than just data dashboards and some trending and forecasting, the conventional stuff that we get out of these solutions. They have some all these solutions also offering some AI models, but it's still not to the power of TensorFlow and PyTorch, like models that have been pre-tuned and been worked on. So I just want to hear your thoughts on this. Thank you.
Thanks, Yas. That's a great question. Fahad.
So, Yasser, maybe let me understand your question first before I answer. So your question is you run a consulting firm, right? And
Yes.
it seems like you are working with a few these Snowflakes and Databricks who are the platform.
Yes.
And then Cassandra and Kafka. These are the companies you work to. It seems like you integrate their tools because these are all tools, right? Which a lot
Exactly.
of and you provide these to you provide integration services to the end client, right? Using these tools, if I'm not mistaken.
Integration and the usability of it. So these are mostly offered as a service. So Kafka as a service, Elasticsearch as a service, Cassandra, and a bit of Databricks and the Snowflake. So these as a service, how companies can use them to solve their business problems. And how they can deviate values, because these are pretty expensive solutions as well. And we have specialists who have specialized and certified in these. But our biggest challenge is how to transition into an AI out of data that we have gathered. We have data present in all these solutions. We have dashboards coming out of these solutions. We have APIs that you can interact with, but we are also doing a bit of Python code, but I'm more inclining towards pre-tuned, pre-tuned models. But just want to hear your thought, how we can go into being an AI company.
In my, again, my category of AI company, I think Nauman asked this question, and I have these 4 fundamental things, and I think in my point of view, you are on the 3rd category where, and Overjet is also one, and maybe Applied Intuition is another one who are building this simulation for self-driving cars. All these companies are using the pre-built technology to enable use cases. That's how I think I treat your company, in my point of view, as will be that a consulting firm technology is there, you take it, and you basically see what are the use cases, and then you build pieces of that. It's like a Lego, right? You put those Legos and say, here you go, here is your use case. But you don't build the Lego. You're getting my point. Someone else manufactures the Lego, and you just integrate. In my point of view, the way you can look into it, being an AI company or being even a small consulting firm who's focusing on data but using AI, look from a user problem perspective. And I always start with a user problem rather than a technology play. So some of the interviews I failed, guys, I went in front of an engineering and say, hey, I don't want to solve a technology issue here. I want to solve a user problem. And next day, I never heard back from the company. So some people get annoyed when I think about user problem, but I think you should start from what are the user problems they have and how they're solving today. and whether AI can be applied to that or not. One thing which I have learned, that AI cannot solve all the problems, by the way, right?
Yeah.
So when we say AI will solve this, no. So if AI can solve, yes. If AI can't solve, that's fine. And when I build a product, I never think from a perspective that I should apply an AI, by the way. Even being an AI product
Yeah.
manager, the first question my leadership asked to me, hey, why we need AI here, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they sometimes think we are forcefully applying AI to everything. So I think start from a user problem, identify which problems can be solved through AI, or it can be done through some conventional tools as well. And if there is an AI to be solved, what's the cost of solving through AI, and what's not the cost, and what's the down ROI, return on investment on it? Like, are you going to do it faster? Are you going to do it on a scale? Are you going to do it innovative way? Is it a resource count? Is
Yep.
going to, those are the things I will say if you want to pivot from what you do or start thinking into these projects. I don't know whether I was able to answer your question.
No, you were, and you're right. The reason I was talking primarily technology, Fahad, is because these are open source tools, and I work with a lot of clients in Pakistan in small mom and pop shop, just exposing them in using technology. Like they can just move from Excel and put data in these open source tools and get dashboards. That itself gives them a lot of value.
Yes.
So that's what I'm going with. I wasn't technology centric, but I completely agree with you on being problem driven. My other question, which is a bit deviant from what I just asked, what do you think about competitors of NVIDIA? Like I'm also like a part of my company. There are companies coming out of China that are doing really well. As you know, in China, they are doing so much work in AI that they are far ahead in what they offer in Alibaba and Tencent and whatnot. If you look at some of their services, it's really good. They came and presented to us, and it's not there with AWS, but they're offering a lot of services on AI. What do you think about companies coming out of there, and especially? Again, I'm going to tangent into Pakistan a bit because it's closer to us and it's easier for us, especially on it's very hard to get an NVIDIA server in Pakistan. The cost is humongous, but Chinese companies are pitching out to us. So just wanted to get your idea, what you think on that. It's just
sorry, maybe I lost your question. So can you just repeat the question only?
What do you think about the companies coming out of China offering the same, like we talked about AWS, Azure, GCP? But
I think yes, we should go. So the startup I am looking into or I'm supporting, that's the biggest problem. I think Nauman asked me, right, why there is this big companies versus small companies not doing it, because the cost is so high, right? I mean, the model we tune, I asked the CTO, hey, can we get a server? He said, oh, do you have $4,000 a month to pay to me, right? For the server. I said, no, we don't have it. So I said, do we have any kind of, like, can we find someone in AWS who can support Pakistan and give us like, some free capacity or something? So then he said, we couldn't find it. Even their marketing, they are still, the problem is it's still in certain parts of Pakistan, you have access to everything and certain people doesn't have. And that's why we went and we did this server from, I forgot, a local Pakistani company. They're offering these servers. I forgot the name of it. And we bought it from them. So we were looking into Tencent, Alibaba and others as well. And maybe there are others, even OCI, Oracle Cloud, right? That if we can get it. So I don't think so that you should go for it. I mean, if they're offering and if they're good and stable, go for it, I think.
Yeah, because we are recently partnering with this company Softgo, who apparently have better chips than NVIDIA. They are big in Eastern Asian markets, like where China has more dominance.
Yes, apologies, but if you don't mind, we also have a few other questions from
others. Sorry.
Maybe you can connect with Syed Fahad Khalid offline.
Yeah, will do. Thank you.
All right,
so much.
I think Mudassar Ali has a question: how to pivot our careers towards AI product management starting from today?
So starting for today, I will say, because today you said it's Sunday, just kidding. The way I pivoted, I can tell you my journey, and I always say it maybe you can copy paste that, maybe it did not work, because it's very subjective, right? Everyone's career is not just doing some certification or degree or something. I think it's based on the personality, behavior, user behavior, which I have might be different than yours, right?
Growth mindset.
Yeah, exactly. The mindset might be different. So the way you can do it, there is nothing called AI product management, first of all. Like the people are marketing it. Take AI out of product management, I will say. Just focus on product management. And then to do that, I have seen product management high school degree graduate, by the way, at Meta. I can claim it. That I have seen people who have high school graduation, like high school graduate only, and they were experienced. We hired them as a PM. And I have seen Harvard MBAs, Chicago Booth MBAs. All of them are MBA. And people like me who have like Sir Syed and then masters from US, I'm also a PM. So to do that, coming to the point, start reading a lot of things. That's how I do it. Lot of blogs. You probably have seen at Pakistan Mana, I just keep sending docs and docs and docs. You guys might be crying or yelling at me, what the hell this guy is doing. And I'm not kidding you. I read those docs before sending to you most of the time. Almost, I will say 90% of the time. That's a high. So reading makes that, you start to talk about in that language. Okay, AI, ML, deep learning is nothing. You can Google it, you can find it. So, but because I read it, that's how I learned it. And product management, I will say there are different paths. One is you should involve in follow different influencers who are talking about PM. Take a certification course, 3,000, 2,500. There are a variety of it. Udemy, you probably can find $10 as well. And then from there, you can engage with PMs who are in your circle, right? Approach them. I remember one of a consulting firm I used to work at New York City, and I was afraid of pinging Donovan because Donovan used to own Encode where I used to work. Donovan was a CTO of AT&T at one point. And I told my consulting partner that, hey, I'm attached to Donovan on LinkedIn, but he doesn't know me, but because in Encode I met him a couple of times, it doesn't mean I should ping him. So that guy told me that, hey, right now, are you doing any sales? No. If you don't send an email to Donovan, you are going to do any sales? No. But if you send him an email and he reply back, there is an opportunity. So you are sitting on an opportunity and just already assume that you are not going to send him an email. So that's exactly for a product management. Talk to people. They might respond you back. They might give you 30 minutes. And that's how you will start to learn it.
That's right. And I think that's why you did the right thing today by joining this podcast. So this is your first step. Now, hopefully you'll find some more interest in this topic and you can reach out to Fahad.
Nauman, Fahad, and Farooq for organizing this. Thank you very much.
So we have another question, Fahad, from Faisal Minhas. What is an algorithm?
So what is an algorithm?
Simple algorithm. What is it?
So, okay. So algorithm is an English word, first of all, right? And
okay.
yeah. If I'm not mistaken, it's an English, right? That's how I can read it. Otherwise, I don't know whether it's okay. So let me do one thing. Let me ask ChatGPT what they think.
All right.
Yeah. So when we have it, let's use
Faisal, you still here with us?
Hi guys, yeah. So isn't Al Arabic? Algorithm?
Well, this is for ChatGPT. Let's see. What? Is it he or she?
Man, it doesn't matter.
It looks like
These days, they ask you he, she, and sometimes I literally get confused and I have to Google it. Okay, what I need to respond because there's so many different times. I mean, that's
too many pronouns.
Yeah. So I think I don't know whether it's an Arabic word or not, but what ChatGPT is telling me is an algorithm is a set of well-defined instruction procedure to perform a specific task. Right now, how we derive with that word algorithm, I have no idea in language, right? But that's exactly what I was. So being very okay, if my wife asks this question, what is an algorithm? I will be very open to you how I'm going to respond. That Shan Masala is an algorithm to create a biryani. Not kidding you. That's
so it's like a building block of machine learning.
No. So it's not. So if you're asking just an algorithm, the word algorithm, just to be very clear, algorithm, in my point of view, it's a set of instruction, right? That step 1, 2, 3, you do and you get it. So algorithm can be like, I think maybe you guys have ignored or because of the noise, that Shan Masala is giving you an algorithm to create biryani, like Bihari. They are giving you an algorithm, but now we don't treat it as an algorithm because we think it's a food. But in actual language, that by definition of algorithm, they're giving you a set of instruction which you're following to create a biryani. But in machine learning, we are saying that these machine learning algorithm can be a specific set of instruction which is applied to machine learning, deep learning. So now linear regression and logistic regression is also, you can call it an algorithm. Does it answer your question? Or
Yeah,
no?
so I was just trying to understand that is it like the same example you gave, the masala example. So is this algorithm, is it a coding thing, or are they codes, or are they mathematical calculations which are making a machine do what we are instructing it to do?
Yeah, these are okay. So if you're referring to machine learning algorithms specifically, so then yes, these are mathematical equations, processes which we are allowing different mathematical equations put together to do certain tasks.
So can we say that they are codes?
Yeah,
Like in
they will always
programming,
be
yeah.
code. Yeah, because you have equation, right? In computer, equation will not work until you code it, right? So definitely, once you write an algorithm or you come up with an algorithm, you convert that into a code, and now the codes become SDK, libraries, APIs. That's exactly what happened.
All right. Thank you, Fahad.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, Zohaib Ahmed. Zohaib, would you like to speak?
Sure. So Fahad, great session and a very insightful one. My question was, what are some other cool AI tools that we are not aware of as much as a chat GPT, but those are also, useful or can be useful to entrepreneurs, students, working professionals, like the ones you mentioned earlier.
Sorry, Zuhaib, you probably, all of you might have came across this LinkedIn marketing, or someone is doing it. They're sharing this link of 10 other tools other than ChatGPT we should be aware of. Have you came across? I can send you, if you're part of Pakistan Mana group, already send it, I believe. And it has like 20, 30 different tools. One is Beautiful AI. I think someone asked recently on Pakistan Mana group, okay, how can we create presentation? Beautiful AI helps you with that. Then the tools which I'm personally using is Midjourney, DALL-E 2, and ChatGPT. These are the three tools I use almost every day, not kidding you, every day. And that's DALL-E 2 to create pictures, Midjourney to create pictures, and ChatGPT to ask different questions. And then there are other several tools which have been shared on LinkedIn. I can say in the post. I tried it, but I literally did not use it often. But there may be many. I will say at least 30, 40 tools.
Thank you, Fahad. Ali Raza.
Fahad, thank you for this session. So anyone, with some coding background, and will you recommend any code? Because there are a lot of courses available for AI, right? Would you recommend anything, someone who wants to jump into AI? Any particular courses, or in Coursera, Udemy, or maybe some open universities?
Yes, Ali, it's still in that. I have a school of thought, my own. It's very subjective. That I've seen, like people like me who are lazy, failures. They sometimes needs this, carrot, like in Urdu we call danda, to do something, and that's exactly what my behavior is. So I always sign up for a course. Why? Because now I paid it. I want to get ROI out of it, right? And there are people like smarter like you, or maybe Numan or Farooq, who doesn't need this danda, and they will go and learn on their own by Udemy or YouTube or free material out there. And I don't know also what's your background. So my background was electronics engineering, electrical and computer engineering. I was never a hardcore coder. I was a MATLAB programmer, and I did basic Python in the past. But so what I did myself, that I learned through a lot of blogs, and then I went and took this course from UT Austin was offering this course for $3,000. I forgot the name of this company who offered this course. There are many. Simply Learn is one of them, and there are a few others. So I took that course, I learned it. But then I found out that that course was very intense for me because I'm not a coder. They were asking me to set up an Azure environment and start calling different libraries and SDK and API. To become a PM, I don't want to do that. So what I did, I always referred people, they can do some basic courses. There are basic level of courses for business people, and then for technical people. So always, if you're a business mindset and you don't know coding, I will say take a business course, and it can be from Udemy, it can be from YouTube, Coursera, anywhere, to be honest, it doesn't matter. And even if you take an MIT certification, I can tell you right now, it doesn't matter at all, man. You take MIT or Harvard, or you take Islamia, Jahanpur, or XYZ, you just need AI, man. And you can just open YouTube videos and start watching this guy, Andrew Ng. He has so much content from Stanford that if you just watch him for a month, you will be an AI. At least you can speak better than me, by the way. Then.
Yeah, and
Again, can you repeat his name? Sorry, I just missed
Andrew
it.
Ng. Andrew
Andrew.
Ng.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't
Yeah.
know how to pronounce the last name.
no,
but
that's right. And Ali Raza, I'll watch on that. Andrew Ng is a great guy. He has a
Yep.
few courses on Coursera. You can either pay or you can take the courses for free. So please take a look at those courses.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any other question? Anybody else would like to go?
Hi guys, this was very, very helpful. We've been on this call for almost 1.5 hours now, and I'm very sure that everybody who participated learned a lot. I would like to especially thank Syed Fahad Khalid and Nauman Hadi for taking the time taking a time out from their very busy weekends to do this session. Thank you so much, guys, for your time. I will be uploading this to YouTube, and I'll be sharing the link of the video with whoever has registered for the session. So thank you again for your time, and have a wonderful rest of the weekend.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much,
Thank you, man.
guys. Appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good weekend. Bye.